Critical Focus channel.
So, following the Heralds of Kurnoth comes the Blood of the Bull to immolate Spitewood in revenge for the Kurnothi decimating the Gauronite army. Let's start with looking at the fighter cards of this supposed mastery warband. Zuldraka is the war despot and leader, and she is a 3-move 1 shield 4 health 2 bounty fighter. She will hit from range 1 for 2 hammers 2 damage with the meh crit stagger effect. Inspired, she picks up a second very solid shield and takes her attack to 3 hammers and swaps the crit stagger for crit grievous, which is not only a way better effect but should have a decent chance to trigger on 3 hammers rather than the former 2. Pretty solid stuff, and the 2 shield defense on her inspired side really stands out here. The con being the slow movement, of course, so you won't go wrong with including pushes and plus move cards here to boost the stubby little legs of not only this fighter but the lot of them. Imnidirin, which sounds more like some haughty elf princeling to me, is the spear-wielding banner lady, I guess, who sports, apart from the attack profile, the same stat line as the leader, which is certainly pretty solid. This one hits from range 2 for 2 hammers 2 damage with more of that meh crit stagger effect. But never mind that, it's still a very good attack profile if we disregard that one, especially from range 2, and having that bit of decently punchy 2 range attack is pretty tasty on, say, a slower fighter or just a slower warband in general to boost the threat range. Inspired, Imnidirin swaps crit stagger for plain stagger and adds another hammer to the accuracy. Very solid stuff. Morodrok looks a bit mentally challenged, but he is a pretty solid fighter nonetheless. On the now very familiar stat line 3 move 1 shield 3 wounds, but is only worth the single glory. His attack shares the crit stagger, but does a better job at triggering that same effect on 3 dice rather than 2, albeit on swords. Uninspired, hitting for 2 damage from range 1. Inspired, Moroduk adds another sword and upgrades to a plain stagger, and crucially also adds the second shield like his aforementioned compatriots. Very solid stuff. Tokor next is probably my favorite model of the bunch. He's giving me strong vibes from the pig-like orc in the Return of the King trying to settle the ruckus in Mordor. He is 3 move 1 dodge 3 health and garners your foes 1 glory if they take him out. He has 2 different attacks. From range 1 he hits for 3 swords 1 damage, and from range 3 he hits for 3 swords 1 damage crit stagger on his ranged attack. So you'd pretty much never use the former unless you need to do melee attacks for objectives or some such. Not a very impressive fighter profile really, but inspired he adds a second dodge and swaps swords for hammers on his immolator. There is a Warscroll ability tied to him, however, which buffs him quite a bit, so he could potentially do some lifting. But at face value he looks like this sort of regular Danglebro ranged fighter in so many 2nd edition warbands. Our last fighter is the cutesy little Hobgrot Grisk on 3 move 2 dodge 2 health on 1 bounty. He hits from range 1 to swords 1 damage with crit grievous. Inspired he stays exactly the same apart from a single little extra move once he gets his little stubby legs going. Still, he somehow feels more impactful than the immolator, which is a bit sad given how cool that model is. So overall, good defense, slow movement, pretty sort of mid attacks, which is reasonable for a larger warband, but the Warscroll will do a lot of lifting here, so let's delve into it. The Blood of the Bull warband are empowered by Spite, a mechanic that earns them 1 demon forged dice to start the game with, and at any time in your own power step when an unstaggered friendly fighter delves a treasure token, you gain 1 demon forged dice, and they all disappear at the end of the round. So several stipulations here. Only works in your power step, only works when you delve while not already staggered, and only works if you delve a treasure token and not the other way around. Then of course there's ways to spend the demon forged dice earned in this way and the one you start with as well, and you can do that in 2 different ways. The first one is called Enhance Arsenal and is a search ability to use immediately after you pick a weapon as part of an attack, which then earns you +1 dice on that attack, and you also get to inspire the fighter using that demon forged dice. This works the same for all of the fights except for Grisk, who only inspires if he is adjacent to one of your Dwarden fighters when they make an attack. In addition to him inspiring that way, the Dwarden attacking next to Grisk will also count both swords and hammers as successes. That's quite usey paired with the extra dice from dumping your Demon Forged dice. Reinforce armor is the other way you can spend a Demon Forged dice, and it simply offers one of your Dwarven +1 save for an incoming blow, so you could potentially be looking at 3 shield defenses here. As a last feature from the Warscroll, we have the Infernal Conflagration, which offers Tokor's ranged weapon Grievous when the target is adjacent, which makes him a lot more useful indeed. This warband is supposedly a good fit for the Deadly Synergy rival deck included in the Spitewood expansion, and yeah, I'm sure we'll get a look at that one very, very soon as well. That's all for today's video. Stay tuned for more on these guys and the other warband included in the Spitewood expansion, as well as all of the old warbands and stuff coming back. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye. Lastly, a big shout out to all my members that help support my content and makes it so much easier for me to produce multiple videos on a weekly basis. Members do get access to the member Discord, get to influence the content, get early access to a ton of videos, as well as get featured in the monthly painting showcase if they want. Member or not, I dearly appreciate the like, the comment and the subscription.